Hey guys, what is up? Mike here. Thanks for tuning in to another video. In this video, I'm going to talk about confidence and fear within the workplace as a UI, UX designer, product designer, as you're progressing and growing through your career. Looking at other positions, going on an interview, wanting to move up, and you're just having this natural fear of, am I good enough? Do I need more skills to land that job? And just overall fear and confidence in the workplace. Somebody shot me a really good email, and I'm going to touch on this because we all go through this, and it was talking about fear and confidence. I'm not going to say her name, but I'll point her to this video so she'll know I'm responding to her email. But basically, she was talking about the fact that she says as she goes through at work, she's comfortable with the UI portion. Okay, she knows that. But her boss, she says that she's a sidekick to her boss who facilitates all of the UX research duties, such as conducting the interviews, conducting the usability test and usability studies and whatnot. And she looks at herself as piggybacking off of this person's lead. And so she goes, she never really makes the final decision. It's her boss, obviously, and she's comfortable with that, but she understands why people make decisions after they conduct these studies and things like that and tests. She's really aware of the decisions to make a particular change to a UI or whatever. I totally get that. She's saying also she's moving on to she's going on an interview where she is looking to be more of the lead to do these things. And she goes, she's a little nervous. How do I gain the confidence that I'm the expert, that I can do that particular thing? I want to touch on all these things. This is so normal and so natural. It's like, I've been always wanting to touch on these in almost every video. It's like we all have those fears. I had those fears. And in the last portion of her email, she said, how did you gain the confidence? And this is very important, and which I want to touch on, and why I feel I can help and share a nugget or two. I gained the confidence. I was so fearful when I first got my first job as a webmaster working for a company called Thomson Reuters Elite, big corporation company. I was 22 years old. I was a webmaster, and I looked at, there were UI developers and UI front end guys, okay, and UI designers. I was the webmaster doing like website stuff, and I was always fearful. It took me about 3 to 4 years. I was looking at these guys and I'm like, dang, do I have to go back to college? Do I have to finish school? How do I get this job? Until one day, I did some design work on the software end, not on the website end, but the same stuff that I was doing on the website, I did some UI design work for the actual application. And then when I did it, I was like, wait a minute, does that make me a UI designer now, like software designer? And I'm like, but the same stuff I did there, I was doing on websites and stuff, right? I was using the same tool. There was no change. There was no difference, just different context. And then so what happens is I started to see the BS, like in the sense that to become what this title says, like this UI designer, people think, oh, you have to be this special person. No, it's the same stuff, right? You're just doing UI, just a different title, same type of work. So I started to see the BS. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm gaining some confidence. Like, I'm a UI designer now. I didn't even go to school. I didn't even do anything special. I'm just learning these things as I go. And then, years obviously goes by and I'm building my confidence. And then when I become around 2006, when I learned about UX design and that started to grow, the term UX design, somebody took me under his tutelage in terms of sharing with me. He was the lead. I was the piggyback, okay? He was the lead person showing me all these things, card sorting with these things on the wall with little pieces of paper and stuff like that. And I was like, and then we did like some usability studies, and I was the observer. Okay, so when you say you're the piggyback, you're piggybacking on somebody. You're a UX designer. Okay, you're what's called the observer. I have always been the observer in my entire career as a UX designer. The UX researcher is the one that conducts the interviews and the usability studies. I don't want to do that job. The only difference between you and that person that is conducting that interview, that usability study, is duties. You're taking notes and observing the usability study, the test, what the user is actually doing and failing on in the process of clicking through a UI interface. The person actually conducting the interview is just conducting the interview. They set up the phone call. They take the lead on asking the questions. You know, the whatever the questions you come up with for the usability study, the test plan. It's just duties that this person does. It don't make them any more special than the person that's doing the observations. And in fact, I think it's more critical to be the observer than the one conducting the study, because the one conducting the study is so ingrained into making sure the study goes correctly and what questions to ask next, versus the person who is observing. We're like, dang, she didn't even click on that button, you know? Like when I watch a usability study, I'm like, I told him not to put that button there, or I told him not to hide the print button behind this action item because I knew they weren't gonna find it, right? I'm like saying these things to myself. I'm like, see, I'm taking notes. I'm like, I'm gonna go back to the, you know, after this meeting, I'm gonna point out, I didn't, you know, I said not to put that. Anyway, the point here is the observer is the most critical role. So if you're piggybacking on someone, no, you're a UX designer. I learned this. Listen, I gained confidence because I realized people are not as smart as what we think. You ever look around your company and figure out, damn, that person has a master's degree? That person has a, you know, has a degree and I don't? And somehow it makes them smarter than me? No, listen, people are not as smart as what you think. Okay, so when I understand that, I'm old now. I'm over 40. I've seen it all, right? There's only a handful of people in my career that I'm like, damn, that person's special, right? Like I want to learn from that person, you know? A handful. Everybody else is like, dog, you have a master's degree in HCI? Really? And these are the type of, listen, people, it's not, I have a video a while back, UX design is not rocket science. It's not, okay? So here's the thing. The confidence that I gained is basically, here's another, when I gained way more confidence in UX research and UX design, there was a time when we were conducting a usability study. This is in 2008, 2009, and there were product managers, developers, stakeholders that were in the observation room, that we were all observing this usability study. And then when we were all observing this person click on the wrong thing, we were observing this, right? This person was not able to complete a task. Like they couldn't even find the button to actually get started. Then I realized, wait a minute, the developer actually watching this usability study, he can go back to his desk and make the change because now he's seen the person fail the test. So this person actually now can go back to his desk and make the change and correct it. And I'm thinking, well, that makes that person a UX designer. He's just now experienced the process of UX design. Basically, observing someone fail in a test and now correct that situation, whether in a mock-up or in code. Essentially, it's got to get corrected in code, right? Whether I go back to my desk and correct the UI from a mock-up and then give it to that developer, the developer is actually a UX designer. I think I have a video, and I've been trying to like speak on this a lot more to people. I'm like, everybody is a UX designer, okay? People just don't think of it like that. People think that, oh, you have to be some special understanding of user interfaces to be a UX designer. No, it's not rocket science, okay? If you're an observer, you're basically a UX designer. Whether you're conducting the study or asking the questions or made the phone call to get the person to set up the meeting for the person to do the usability study, or set up the WebEx interface to connect to that end user and give them the mouse controls to go through. That's just duties, right? I don't even want to do that. To me, that's like clerical work. I don't even want to do that. I want to solve problems. I want to see the usability study. I want to be the observer, and I want to learn from it and then make the right choices. Whether we do that when somebody's conducting it or not, we're doing it as a team. It doesn't make that person much more special than you. Now, as you get more involved in doing those duties, like conducting usability studies, you'll learn as you go, like what type of questions to ask next time. Maybe you've led this user down a particular path by saying the wrong word or phrase. Those are just common logical things that you learn as you go. So my confidence was gained by looking at real life and going, oh, man, all these people, like, I had to get a degree to work at this job? Really? Like, on the job description, you said bachelor science degree required. Like, why? This is basic logic, right, that I've learned on the streets. I'm just a kid from South Central LA, and I've learned this stuff. This is basic logic. When I realized that, the confidence in me grew to and then once I started realizing I can write my own shit, like, to me, I feel like I'm one of the smartest UX designers in the world. Okay, I should be making $1 million in salary. That's just how I feel, right? But companies don't recognize that, and I can't force them to recognize it. I mean, I get a lot of emails and people are like, dude, you're really good at what you really know this stuff. But I'm like, yeah, I should be making $1 million, you know? Like, that's how good I am. That's how, based on my logic and reason and rational thought and just moving things along quickly, I could save companies a lot of money, right? But the formalities of life in the corporate world, they don't work like that. You know, you gotta, I'm a UX designer, UI researcher, and then this and that, and get a master's degree, whatever, right? The point here is have the confidence by understanding that it's not rocket science, and people are not as smart as what you make them out to be. Okay, let me end it with this. You have to realize UX design is simple, right? It's just a matter of duties, right? UX researcher can conduct a study. A UX designer is somebody that knows the process, that sees the test, knows that I've learned from this, and now I'm going to go back and make that change. You're now solving problems, okay? Teamwork, you're conducting usability study, and you're solving problems. But lastly, you want to always focus on your process, right? The process. I speak on the process. You know my process if you actually have my course. Go to my course and check out the UX design section and go through the UX design process. But also, watch my recent video not too long ago where I touch on the things to say within an interview, okay? If you have this process sort of component down packed where you just, is simply put, you know, you as a UX designer, you want to get to the root of the problem, right? You design an interface, there's a best guess component to that. But when things that you're not sure about, you guys have to test that. You have to put this in front of clients, okay? And then you observe people demonstrate and go through particular tasks, right? If they can't complete those tasks, you know where they failed and you know how to adjust those elements on that page. How you go about the tools and the steps you take to find these things out, there's no right and wrong on how you do it. Okay, you just have to have a logical thought in this whole game and go, it's not rocket science, right? It's not rocket science. I'm building an interface. I'm using a lot of standards on the web because I know those standards and things are proven, right? I'm going to do that. I'm going to compile this user interface as my best guess. And what we don't know, we're going to test it, right? Sometimes you don't test it. If you don't want to test it, let's go out there and let's learn from customer feedback. If we have a chance to test it, we test it and we learn from users' mistakes and we modify that. That's as simple as it is, you know? So obviously in an interview you want to conduct yourself with not this much like jerkness, whatever. Maybe I'm coming off a little bit too strong, but in an interview you want to be like very polite, but show your confidence and your willingness to make proposals and your willingness to get things done. And the stuff that you don't know, sell yourself. Hey, you know what? I've been working with a UX, my director over the last year or so. We've been conducting usability studies. I've learned so much. I'm willing, I've done this, I've done that. I've conducted these studies. I conducted a test plan and things like that. And you move on. And the things that I don't know, I'm going to learn from it. It's all about. There's no right and wrong in testing and usability studies and stuff like that. So anyway, video's gone on for a long time. I just wanted to rant a little bit about this because this topic really gets me pumped when I can help people try to break through the confidence and kill the stigma of what's out there. I mean, I got plans to write. I'm gonna disrupt the UX design field like no other, and nobody's gonna be able to stop me as I continue to put out content. I'm gonna be writing books about this stuff. It's gonna change the world, and as people start to realize and listen to what I'm saying and follow my advice, you'll start to see the truth in all these elements. So anyway, that's my thoughts on confidence, fear, and just UI, UX design industry as a whole. All right, thanks for watching, guys. As always, follow, hit the like button if you like the things I talk about. Leave me a comment and visit my website, mlwebco.com. If you want to ask me questions, use the contact link on my site, and I'll be happy to answer any questions for you. All right, guys, we'll talk soon. Until next video, peace.